show your face. Show your face, please, with sugar on top.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, if you've been following the recent drama surrounding Joe Budden and his podcast, it's a lot going on as their supporters started to realize that Joe haven't been seen on the pod. It's been the typical host there, which consists of Queen's Flip, Melissa Ford, Imani, Ish, and Ice. Now at first everyone tried to make it seem like Joe Budden was just on vacation. It's no big deal, but as y'all know, it's been too long you could sit there and try to upload a lot. What's done in the dark always come to light, and that's exactly what happened with Joe Budden. Now Joe would return to the cameras, but this time he would be back into the same podcast studio background we know him for having when he first started, instead of the one that we know him for having recently. Now at first everyone thought, well, maybe Joe just wants to go back to the old traditional setting, or maybe he's just doing this in support of his OG fans. However, information was spread that it's actually more to the story than we think. It was rumored that Joe Budden and a neighbor in the building he operated the podcast out of have been going back and forth with each other, and the neighbor didn't like Joe Budden and the podcast being broadcasted in the building. That would lead to other neighbors feeling the same way, which would spark up tension with Joe and the people he potentially has to see every day. Lo and behold though, it was more to the story on why Joe didn't get along with his neighbors and was forced to not return to the part of the building where his podcast was being held, prompting him to have to relocate if he decided to be a part of the pod on camera. In Joe's absence, his co-hosts all made subliminals about what happened with Joe, although they never clearly said what happened. It was like an inside joke that they all poked at, but being that it was their boss Joe Budden, no one wanted to come out and say what really happened. Well, now we see why. Joe Budden has been accused of a weird charge, which includes him being nude and walking to a certain neighbor's door. Allegedly, it's been rumored that Joe Budden called himself sleepwalking naked within the building, and the cops was called on him immediately. Now I don't know what's going on here, or how the hell you could sleepwalk in your building nude at that, but here we are. Now according to reports that has been made public of New Jersey police records, it states that Joe has been arrested on December 4th, 2024 for disorderly lewdness, which means that someone saw him and called the police because once again, Joe was out in the open with no clothes on. Joe is scheduled to appear back in court on these charges on January 16th, 2025 in Edgewater Borough Municipal Court. A press release statement was given by New Jersey's Chief of Police Donald A. Martin, and he would say, quote, "On December 4th, 2024, at approximately 7:21 a.m., the Edgewater police were dispatched to an apartment complex for the report from a resident that a man was standing outside of their apartment door completely naked. The caller recognized the man as a neighbor, Joseph Budden Jr., a 44-year-old male. The caller was alerted so Budden by their doorbell camera. The video depicted Budden attempted to enter a code into the door keypad several times before re-entering his own residence across the hall. As a result of police investigation, Budden was charged with lewdness, 2C-14-4A, disorderly persons offense, on a complaint summons. Chief Martin states that these charges are merely accusations and that the defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now yes, it says that he's presumed innocent until proven guilty, but if you're on Ring camera like they say, then there's no getting around that. They have the evidence in there, so at this point it's just a matter of Joe having to explain why he showed up to someone's apartment trying to get inside while he had no clothes on. Now imagine looking at your Ring camera and seeing a naked Joe Budden. Man, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I do know that Joe initially lied about why we stopped seeing him on the normal pod scenery, which makes it worse for him. He stated that the reason he wasn't seen anymore and had to relocate everything was due to him recording in a residential building, but clearly it was more to the story. The fact that he lied about that makes him look guilty because he could have just been transparent, knowing that eventually the news is going to come out regardless. He was better off just saying he had a drunk night, because honestly that's what it seems like to me. However, I can't say I know too many people that get drunk, get naked, and go to anybody's apartment, but it's better than trying to lie or hide something and then eventually get caught making everything worse than what it already is. Now, Joe himself will have a response to the recent allegations. Although he didn't say much, he would take to his IG story to post a picture making light of the situation. In other words, making it seem like it really ain't nothing. Now, either he feels that it's all BS and probably just some industry propaganda as we know them people for being good at, or he's just not taking it that serious. In the state of New Jersey, it's said that a disorderly lewdness charge is typically treated as a disorderly person's offense, but can escalate to a 4th degree crime under certain circumstances, such as exposing intimate parts for sexual gratification. So in layman's terms, it's not going to be something to where Joe Budden would be doing a whole bunch of time. More than likely, he'll just be hit with a fine and a little bit of public humiliation, but that's about it. I still do wonder how in the world he managed to walk around naked and try to enter someone else's apartment, which I'm surprised they didn't try to hit him with more charges for trying to break into someone else's home, being that they said he tried to enter by putting the code in multiple times. I don't know. Now, whether he intentionally did it or not, usually the police don't care and they'll just give you the charge and tell you to just fight it and prove your own innocence. That's just how they are. Now, as Joe could be obnoxious at times, and I know a lot of people can't stand him, this don't seem to me that it was something done intentionally. Yes, we can all have our laughs and joke on Joe for being irresponsible and humiliate him, but if I had to say, I think he seemed to either be heavily intoxicated or on some other drugs that led him to do what he did. When I first heard the story, it was expressed as if Joe was caught somewhere else in the building roaming with his clothes off, but we would later find out that it was a neighbor's door that he was caught at, and his own room was actually on that same floor, not too far away. I personally made a mistake while I was sober, trying to get into an apartment that wasn't mine because I gotten off on the wrong floor and wasn't aware that the door didn't have my number on it because I was on my phone. So it do happen. However, it's the part that he was naked that's confusing. Right? So I don't know, man. Now that the cat is out the bag, we officially know why the podcast's background have changed for Joe Budden. And there you have it. With Joe being who he is and talking on other people's situations all the time, I'm sure everyone's expecting him to speak on what went down and explain how he managed to go to someone else's apartment naked trying to get in. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I feel the more he don't talk about it or don't acknowledge it, makes it even more weird. Joke about it, tell the people what happened, tell them it was just a long night, whatever you was under the influence of, and move on, man. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.